Plan B with Sarina Bellissimo. The biggest stars, gossip, events, and the biggest tunes. Plan B, your weekend fix.
Michael, Kelly, it is really so cool to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's a treat, man.
I have to say, Michael, even though I've been so looking forward to this interview, it's one of the hardest to do because Netflix being Netflix, right? We can talk about stuff, but we can't really because people are up to different parts of House of Cards. I can't tell people what I want to tell them about season 3 opener. So when you do stuff like this, how do you conceal stuff but still give a lot away without spoiling it?
I mean, now, having to have kept this secret for a year, it was...
And we can't tell what the secret is because there's people who haven't watched yet.
Here's how we do it. We can just say, okay, if you're listening to this, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. As far as the way we were doing it, on the call sheet, it said Freedom, Magic Mike. It was Magic Mike played by Freedom. They never had my name on a call sheet, never had my name on a door. And walked around with a lot of hats and didn't wear my glasses when I would go to dinner with Bo. And we pretty much hung at the same pub in Baltimore there almost every night. And they all knew us, and they all knew that if anyone took a picture with me, they couldn't put it on social media. So really the city of Baltimore helped and sort of rallied with us to all right, we're going to keep this secret. And I did have to tell some lies every now and then. It's a very touristy city as well. Yeah. So people who would see me there, I would just be like, oh, no, I'm now a consultant on the show, or I'm a producer, or make up all sorts of things. And I just felt so guilty about it. It was terrible because I'm not a liar.
I love even, I was on IMDb. I ruin things for myself. I try not to, but I was on IMDb. I was like, I wonder what happens. He's only up to chapter 27. IMDb still hasn't updated the fact that possibly you may be there for longer than chapter 27.
I mean, that was a big, these kids, they all write the crazy threads and tweets and stuff. And they're like, no, I know, and the first person who wrote about it said he's dead. So everyone just ran with that story and assumed that he was dead. When in fact it said clearly in the script, he's breathing, barely breathing, but he's breathing. And so when we shot it, I was like, barely moving. And it just didn't really register on film. So that everyone, even my dad emailed me when I was in the Italian Alps doing Everest, and he was like, dude, you're dead. You're dead. And I was like, no, man, it's a cliffhanger. And he's like, I'm just telling you what it looks like. And then my business manager, then everyone just kept doing it over and over and emailing me. And I was like, oh, shit, maybe they changed their mind.
When you first read the script, I'm sure you thought, this is going to be a success. But did you ever think it would be this big?
Never for 1 second. I mean, look, I knew that when I signed on that there was Beau Willimon and David Fincher and Robin Wright and Kevin Spacey and all these people that were involved. I said, well, I know we're going to make something really special. No one might not ever see it, but I know we're going to make something special. Because Netflix, I didn't know anything about it really. So, and now to go from that to within 2-3 years now to be able to think and say to my kids one day, you know how you watch TV? We started that. That's such it's so cool, man.
It really is. And do you know what's cool? Doug, right? Half the characters on House of Cards, I should despise. They're not the nicest people. Yet I love them. I'm enthralled by them. And not because you're in the room. Doug, I just have such a special spot for him. What is it about him?
I think it goes back to when I moved to New York, I went to the Actors Studio. And Arthur Penn was a mentor of mine there, and Arthur Penn really took me under his wing, and he was so good to me. And I remember he said this one thing to me. He said, always bring as much of yourself to the character as you can to ground it in a sense of reality. So I did that. I brought as much of myself to Doug as I could and then played the moments that are there. And, he was heavily established in season 1. Beau told me before we ever started filming, he said, I don't want you to you can't emote for the whole season. I just want you to not emote. So the character was sort of built on that, this sense of just almost a robotic nature, this just even keel guy who nothing's going to throw him and he's going to get the job done. But I think at the core of the character, I bring a lot of myself.
Well, you are doing amazing work because all I want to do is give Doug the biggest hug and just tell him it's all going to be okay. But I don't think it is because it's House of Cards.
It's House of Cards, exactly.
It is an intense, dark show. Is it intense to shoot, or will you and Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright have a bit of a laugh during the day?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I think we would go crazy if we all fell into that world of House of Cards and lived in it, I think the greatest thing about our show is that Kevin and Robin and Fincher and Bo, they all set a very high bar for how you come to work, how you come prepared. And it's a serious set, but it's certainly not without laughs. I mean, you know, you could sit there and listen to Spacey do impressions for an hour. You know, he's so good at it. So there's plenty of time to mess around, but it's only after you've done the work.
It must be amazing to be able to live out your dreams as well, turn up and go, I'm an actor.
A working one. It's unbelievable. Look, I think that when I started, I graduated with a performing arts degree, fell into it in college. I was never an actor. And I just graduated with that degree, and so I just said, well, that's what I'm going to do. And then I moved to New York, and I just struggled and waited tables and bike messenger. I did a million different jobs, but I never doubted it. Like, I was so naive to think that, well, this is just what I'm going to do. Like, and so it took me, it was 7 years before I made a living, and I never stopped with the utmost dedication to it because I just believed that hard work will pay off, and it doesn't always in this career. Like, I know people equally as talented, better, and with a great work ethic as well, but they never got that one little thing that led to the next little thing.
I'm always amazed by that. It intrigues me. Like, one, you have to have the dedication to keep pursuing. But the other thing as well is, I know my folks, sometimes they turn around and go to me, okay, so you're going to get your real job now? So during those 7 years, the family, the friends, the doubters, how did you deal with all of them? Was there anyone who turned around and went, Michael, come on now, real world?
Yeah, no, nobody did. And as far as my parents go, I remember when I called them, I was studying political science and I had dreams of being a lawyer, and I called my mom and I said, hey, and I had taken, by then I just took an elective, and that's how it happened. And the teacher's like, how long you been acting? And I was like, oh, I've never done this. And she's like, you got something there. Yeah. So anyways, I made it my minor, and then when I decided to make it my major, I had just got the lead in the Glass Menagerie at the school, and I called my mom and dad, and I said, hey, I'm changing my major. I want to be an actor. And they were like, my mom was like, very bright woman. She said, well, if you think about it, Michael, if you're an attorney, you're going to get to act every day in court. You'll get to. So I was like, yeah, Mom, I said, this is what I want to do. I'm doing this play. I want you guys to come see it. So they drove the 6 hours, and they came, and they saw me do the Glass Menagerie. And I'll never forget it. I came out from backstage after the show, and my mom, she still had tears in her eyes, and she was just like, we are behind you 1,000%. You know, and like I said, it wasn't financially, but just knowing that the two of them believed in me, I was like, that's it. I can do it.
Are your kids following in the business? Did they appear? Was there a cameo of your kids in House of Cards?
There was. Well, it's funny, and it happened so organically. It was, I don't know, it's midway, 3/4 of the way through this season. And there was a scene where my brother comes to visit, and we did the rehearsal, and he had just spent all these months with me during recovery. And then he finally brings me into my apartment, and I'm like, okay, I'll see you later. So that scene ended before it had ended by me saying, no, I'm good, bye. And Bo was like, okay, maybe this is might be a little much. He's like, I know, why don't you say, hey, send me a picture of the kids. Yeah. As a parting gift to him, right? like that's enough. So I say it, he leaves. And then the next script comes out, and it said, we were doing the table read, and it said, you know, and Stamper's looking at the picture of his kids when he's talking to his brother on the phone. And I emailed Bo, and I said, hey, do you think it could be my kids or my brother's kids maybe? There's just somebody I can, you know, it'd be kind of neat to have something personal up there. And he's like, yeah, of course, man. He's like, do your kids. That'd be great. And then like a half hour later, he emails me back, and he's like, hold that thought, because I just started thinking I'm writing the next episode, and the kids might come. And I don't know how you feel about that. So then we get on the phone, and I was like, I don't know, man. I said, he said, well, ask Karen, see what she thinks, my wife. And so I asked her, and she was like, sure. And then I remember one of the producers called me and being like, hey, can your kids act? And I was like, dude, they're 2 and 5. I don't know. And funny enough, my 5-year-old could do it, and my 2-year-old was like, ah! So you only see like a half a second of him screaming and sleeping. And that's their real names, Frankie and Clinton.
Finally, very quickly, how much longer can House of Cards run?
I don't know. I mean, my guess, and I really have no inside knowledge, my guess would be 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, that's what I would think. It was only supposed to be 2. David Fincher said we're making a 26-part miniseries. So anything we've got past that has been a bonus, and I'll take it.
Okay. Plan B with Sarina Bellissimo. Your weekend fix.
Number one for music and entertainment.
Spin 103.8.